WNTN Radio Boston, welcome back to Itali-Echo. This is your host Viviana Dragani. New episode and new guests for you. Today my guest is Louise Cappi. She is an internationally acclaimed New Orleans-based singer-songwriter, recording artist, and entertainer. Hi Louise, welcome.
Hi Viviana, how are you?
Good, how are you today?
I'm great.
Awesome. So your last name sounds Italian. Tell us something about your origins.
Okay, yeah, Cappi is short for Capobianco. My father cut it short. He was a jazz guitarist in New York, and it was just easier to shorten it for work. My origins, I grew up in New York. My parents were both Italian Americans. My grandparents were from Sicily and Naples. And yeah, so we're very proud. We're very proud of our Italian heritage. So
great. Let's talk about your music now. Tell us about your latest single, Hope.
Yeah, I wrote Hope during lockdown, COVID, last year. I wrote it because I really wanted to speak to what was happening in the world and what people were going through, loss of life, loss of livelihood, all of that. And I just felt like I wanted to speak to that, and if anybody was going to listen, maybe I could help. I got the concept, the hope thing, because before COVID, I was a chaplain at Toro Hospital here in New Orleans. And one of the protocols that we would do, I have a degree in theology, so, and I would go over there and visit the patients. And one of the questions they would have us ask to help the patients is, what gives you hope? So let's say I was in an oncology ward. I would say to the patient, you know, what are you looking forward to when you get better? Or, you know, what do you want? And they'd say, I want to see my grandkids, or I want to live another year, or I hope, you know, this and that. And it got them thinking towards the future. And so that's where hope came from, the song. And then I just started to write down what does hope mean to me? And, you know, what is hope? Let's figure this out. And then I started writing.
And speaking of hope, what do you hope listeners get out of your music and your album, also called Hope?
Right. Well, number one, encouragement. I want them to be encouraged. I want them to be comforted. There's also some funny songs on the album because some of the songs handle some dark things, but I never leave it there. We always end the song on a high note. So I want them to come out of it with, you know, hope and looking towards the future, and that we can survive this. And not only the virus, but the climate change, what's happening in the world, these fires and floods and all this stuff. I mean, that's contributing to a tremendous amount of anxiety for our country. So that's and then I had a couple of light little songs to make people laugh. Like I have a song called Happy Place, and it's just really cute and, you know, makes you laugh. So
Great, great. And what was like growing up as a daughter of a jazz musician? How did that influence your music?
Oh, did you hear that thunder? I hope you didn't.
Oh, yes.
Okay, sorry.
It's a
um,
live show.
I know they just cracked out the window here. What was it like growing up there with my dad? Yeah, Dad was very well known in New York. He was a jazz guitarist, and that's how he made his living, just solely on music. And when I was in high school, I mean, I was around it all the time as a kid, so I developed a good ear. And when I got into high school later years, he would take me with him on some gigs and let me do a song or two, just to get me familiar with it. And that was really helpful for me, kind of breaking me in a little bit, but not doing too much. Um, yeah, and that was really great. Of course, if I forgot the words or something, the whole ride home, he was like, "I told you to learn your." um, yeah, so that was great, and I learned what good quality was. It wasn't like a garage band, rock band. These were great musicians, and I got to watch what they did, how they worked.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So afterwards, you moved to New Orleans, which is the birthplace of jazz, and it is still nowadays a hotbed for jazz music.
Oh yeah, it really is. Of course, now recently, this last week, again, the clubs were closed down last year. It was very hard on me. I couldn't work, so I wrote. But yeah, I wrote the whole album during that. But it was very hard for not only musicians but restaurants, which is big down here, the food, nightclubs, and all of that. But it still is a hotbed for jazz and other kinds of music too. Jazz, blues, zydeco, just different types of music genres, and the music just rolls right out into the street, and so it's a very vibrant, exciting. That's why people like to come to visit.
I will, for sure, sooner or later. And a last question for you. What's on your bucket list for 2021?
Oh my gosh. Well, I really want this album to take off. I want it to reach people, and not so much for my own ego, because I want people to like me, but I really want this message. I wrote this for other people, and I really want them to hear it. So, and it's doing okay. It's doing well, actually. It's going global, and I'm topping some charts, the Euro Indie music chart. I'm in the top 100, like 117 or something. In South Africa, I hit for a couple of weeks #1 on there. So God's been good, and I just want to get the message out, because that's how I can help people. I'm not a medical worker. I write, and I want people to hear it and sing.
Absolutely. And how can our audience reach out to you?
Well, they can go to my website, which is louisecappimusic.com. Cappi is spelled Cappi.
Double P.
Yeah. And so they can go to my website, and at my website, there are links to Facebook, to Instagram, so they can find me there.
Awesome. Awesome. And now what are we going to play for our listeners?
Oh, I guess hope is that.
Hope. Yeah.